Hey guys,
You know what's yeah,
hey,
yeah, you know what's funny about the meeting's been recorded. I got it. I got it, Zoom. Thank you. Zoom just renewed my yearly subscription for 166. I was like, "Oh right, I forgot I even had Zoom."
hmm,
You know what's funny about the new topics? Like they said one of the new topics is software as a service,
hmm,
infrastructure as a service in cloud, and also VPC, virtual private cloud. But those have already been
yeah,
topics, right? They
yeah,
they
yeah.
also said like instead of CIA, it's also confidential integrity, availability. It's also what's the other one? Authentication
Hmm.
and something else, but that's always been
Mm,
there.
yeah, non-repudiation and authenticity. Yeah.
Yeah, but
Authenticity,
that's
yeah.
always been there. What new thing do they want us to know? I guess they're making it more prevalent now or something.
But let me that then what I will do is I will bring that on the screen. Better. I have a course content with me.
Acha.
Do you want me to share the screen?
Ha ha, Carl.
Oh, বাংলা বলবে. Good.
আপনারা ঠিকই সব বুঝেন অবাক হয়ে গেছি অবাক মানে I'm like amazed you guys understand Bengali like right away without hesitation.
Yes.
I do know
Baranda,
what is Obak.
Yeah, অবাক. I'm like wow.
barandai, bondu. Hey guys, welcome to the session on triumvirates, and today we're going to discuss about what's new in CISSP.
Hey, let me just ask the
Surprisingly,
question that all of us are getting all the time. The new exam has come out. Do we need to get the new books and what has changed and will your content be updated? That's the perennial question I guess asked every 3 years. The
Hmm.
answer is the new books aren't even out yet. I
Yeah,
think the new one comes out in June.
June.
I think I
Yeah,
read that
yeah, yeah.
yesterday.
It's coming in
someone
June.
did
And
mention, yeah.
and
Thor,
like I don't
our
and
Thor, sir, Thor, sir.
yes, yes.
Thor, if you're
Yeah, thanks
watching
to
this
him.
video, you did a commendable job, and you have the
Shout
first
out to
person who shared
Thor
the post. Yeah.
Peterson. I actually have his email in front of me that details the updates. I'm like, thanks, Thor, for doing the hard work.
Yeah.
Respect.
Yeah, for real, for real.
He always active, whenever new updates are there, he's the first
Thor
person.
doesn't stop. Thor
Yeah.
doesn't stop. Not only does Thor help like
Mm.
us, he helps like his own family and like everybody around his world. Like he's like that to everybody, even just not just cis people, but everybody around him. He's like very helpful with that. He gives
we
his
we
time
just
to others.
we have to accept he is a descendant of Norse god.
Yeah, you
We
have to.
have to.
He's a demigod. He is. He's a walking,
Yes.
living demigod on Earth.
On Earth, yes.
And the other new one was external dependencies in BIA. And I think that's always been there. I mean, you have
Yeah,
to think
we
about the third
it's
parties.
right. We don't explicitly call it out, but yeah, we always talk about that.
I
But but
remember,
but but one thing which is basically I've discovered, that's why I validated, is it was initially CIA and now there is authenticity and non-repetition.
yeah. And that's always been in the books. I guess they want to make it more prominent now.
Mm.
And I think the thing, anything, you guys think of anything else about non-repudiation that's not just a digital signature? Is there anything else that proves non-repudiation? It's always just been
Having
digital
the
signature, private
yeah,
keys.
having the logs
Yeah, one day what
to
Yeah.
ensure.
happened, I was smoking and my wife caught me on camera, and then I cannot deny later. That is an my dash don't lie. Because that time I was listening to a Shakira song. So that is a non-repetition, right?
You
You
cannot
cannot
deny
deny
you've
for
been
your
smoking.
action,
Nope,
right?
you can't.
Right,
Those
right.
those lips don't
Yeah.
lie.
I wish I could alter the camera. That's okay. So let's come
And
to the topic now. So we're talking about the domain one. So we have a confidentiality, integrity, availability in the old syllabus. They just amended two more principle into that: authenticity, non-repetition. I personally believe that okay, it should be part of the integrity, right? Because we have a hashing. Hashing is achieved by signatures. Somehow, matlab, because authenticity drive the non-repetition, right?
yeah, and vice versa. I think authenticity and integrity already make up non-repudiation. You can't have it without the two.
Mm.
So
And
it's
I
become a five pillars of information security. Oh, you know what's funny? I got an email from IC Squared the other day saying, "What should we take out or put into the new syllabus?" And they said, "Do you think we should still adhere to the old CIA triad?" I was like, "Yeah, you have to. That's the basis of everything."
mm, because
I
information
think they
security.
did.
Yeah.
I think they didn't listen to us.
No. I think they ask our suggestions. Then if they don't like it, they just like, yeah, we're not gonna listen to them. We're just gonna do what we said. It was nice to get their input, and thanks for wasting 15 minutes of. No, I'm just kidding. I like filling out the surveys. But there's nothing new. There's absolutely nothing new in the
Yeah,
syllabus
no,
that.
but there's something new point which is I think they have taken from CCSP, which is called FedRAMP, because it
Right.
was heavily influenced on CCSP.
Yep.
SAPSA was there in 2021 syllabus. Now they understood the importance of security architecture, and I
Yeah,
believe now they have added in domain 1. Initially, it was in domain 3, right?
yeah,
I think
yeah,
this is basically just a copy paste, the same topic we had.
yeah.
Interesting part, what I feel in data privacy is that they introduced the South Africa Privacy Act, and I believe CCPA was already there, right? Prashant and Luke, California Consumer
Yeah.
Privacy Act, yeah.
Was
Yep,
it?
yep,
I know
yep,
it
yep.
was. I know it was new in the
It was a
CCSP
discussion. It was
syllabus, right?
discussion. CCSP was there, yeah. Sorry, it was
Yeah.
CCSP. In
No,
CCSP, it was there.
in CISSP, I read it in 2017. It was there in even 2017, 2018.
Hmm. No, it was there, but yeah. But as per the
CCPA.
official syllabus, it was not there. But
Oh,
but
Yeah.
I
yeah.
personally believe that as the cloud transition is happening and a lot of things are happening on the cloud perspective, those who are watching this video, my recommendation is that you should have a very good understanding on FedRAMP, because you have given the example, Prashant, you have given the CCSP, I given the CCSP. You can understand the importance of how the FedRAMP can be
Oh, it's
testable from a DoD perspective. Yeah.
that, and there's a heavy regulation knowledge. You should know like the regulations in the CCSP exam for sure.
Oh,
GDPR,
yeah.
FedRAMP, you got to know the regulations because that's the basis.
Highly testable. Domain 6 in CCSP
Very
is
testable.
very testable.
Yeah.
All these regulations you have to know by heart. Israel, Australia, New Zealand, Argentina, everything
Yeah.
has to go there.
The most like boring domain is always the most
Domain
heavily
6.
tested.
Domain 6.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes,
Like
absolutely.
Domain 6. Yeah.
you know how boring it is to create videos on auditing and regulations? Like it's a long haul for me. I'm like, this is so boring, but you got to make it. You got to make it.
Hello. Someone is also in the podcast who make videos on same GRC audit. Don't question GRC.
Tell me who?
Hello.
Oh yeah.
There's a one
He's
podcaster with
talking about himself.
you. Yeah, so I do sessions on audits
He's
and
talking about
GRC.
himself.
Oh right. Well, you're more patient than me, bro. I don't know how you do that GRC auditing stuff. I'm
For,
like, oh.
for a moment, I thought someone entered his room.
Yeah, me too. I'm like, who's entering the Triumvirate's chat room?
See, in all 3 hours, we have someone called senior management. So we took some permission from them, and that's why we are in this session. So
Yeah, my senior management's upstairs watching TV
yeah,
right now.
yeah.
My senior management went out for Friday evening. So
Yeah.
Nice. Nice.
Lucky guy. Okay. So we are in the next part. So SAPSA was added, PCI DSS was there in the old syllabus. When it comes to here, I think they have introduced risk maturity modeling, right? It was not there.
Mm-hmm.
It is something new, which I personally believe that it is all about the maturity of a risk functions and all that. So what is your viewpoint, guys? How you see risk maturity modeling?
Yeah, it's when I was doing the CCSP, it's a lot about metrics and KPI and making sure you follow the steps to get to one point. And once you reach that one point, it's never over. You have to start all over again and maximize that one point even better next time. Start all over again, get better and better each single time. So basically, you're forcing the company to get better, which just means creating more work and creating a heavier emphasis on results. So the company who doesn't want to, if a company's not improving every single year, then it's failing. It's not really doing well. You want to keep improving every single year. That's what management wants to see. That's what management's
True.
ultimate goal is, right? They don't care if you upgraded the firewall from an old one to a new one. They want to see what that firewall can do and make the company better.
I agree with that. Yeah.
So this is pretty much in sync with what CMMI talks about. So if you are at level 5, that does not stops there. One of the requirements of level 5 is to make sure that, because there's no level 6 in it, you have to make sure that you constantly try to improvise of whatever you are here. You need to, because the technology is evolving, so you need to make sure that you adapt all those landscape. So it's very important. Right?
I agree with the point. And yeah,
Isn't a
go ahead.
maturity modeling is that heavy in GRC too, Prab, or what?
Maturity model is definitely now. If you take an example of this CSF 2.0 and all that, when we're
Uh,
implementing that, we always talk about the maturity, and they're very finicky. They're very specific. Okay, when you're going for this framework and all that NIST framework, they are very concerned about the maturity model. So everyone want a CM level 5 for this. So I personally believe that okay, when it comes to CSF and all that, definitely maturity model play a very important role.
okay, good for me. Too bad we don't have a maturity model. We're still immature. Like we need a maturity model for ourselves. We're still giggling around in these podcasts and messing around. Like we have zero maturity modeling. We're not even close to any of that. Remember?
लेवल सबके निकलेंगे बट निकलेंगे उसके जो खड़ा रहेगा यहाँ पे
Here I come. Oh, here I come.
Hey, don't. नहीं यार, लाइफ चेंज करनी है. तो क्या सोच रहे हो? टी शर्ट में आए थे, शर्ट में जाओगे? ऑटो वाला रुक सकता है, गाड़ी नहीं रुक सकती. आओ ज्वाइन करो प्रोग्राम.
What we talked about in the last meeting. Oh my
I
God.
wish we would have recorded that. I wish.
Yeah. Then the people who watching that video, they have a different perception about
Yeah,
us.
and we'll release that when we're retired. People can't know about that side of
Right.
us quite yet. Or maybe they will. Maybe it'll be what they call a disruptor in the industry.
That is also true.
Right?
Right.
Okay. So there's a new amendment which is added in the domain 1, which is this part, I believe. Risk associated with the product tampering, counterfeit, and implants. And the best
Yeah.
thing is that in the same module, they talk about the mitigation also. You can see third-party assessment monitoring. It was there in the old syllabus, but this is something they added new, which is called silicon root of trust, physical
Ooh, what is-
unclonable function, and software bill of material.
What is that? I totally missed that. What does all that mean? Silicon root of trust? A hardware certificate?
Yeah,
Is that a hardware certificate?
Yeah.
Right. It's just to make sure that the tamper proofing of so for example, I'm going to give one. This is quite common thing in specifically HP as a manufacturer. So with these OEMs, what they do is HP makes most of the stuff on their own, but they rely on some of the peripherals, chips, the plastic molds, and everything from their suppliers, right? So the TPMs that they have on the specifically if the organization have audited. Now, what if their supplier has got compromised or their sub-suppliers might even order some of the parts from their sub-suppliers. So there's a complete constant supply chain. So if someone has tampered in one of the suppliers might have tried to insert some kind of a malicious, maybe the firmware was coded something wrong or there's something else has been done. There's a hardware issue that probably listened to the device, or there is a hardware that generates the keys which doesn't have a pattern or whatever it is, right? Someone managed to tamper that product. So what exactly the silicon root of trust is? It's what you said, Luke, rightly. It's a hardware hardware certificate that we have that ensures that whatever the capabilities that were incorporated has not been tampered, and there's a way to verify that. So
Okay.
to avoid any counterfeiting.
And I want to add one statement here why I personally feel that okay, IC2 has added this part of the function is in G20 summit. I believe you guys know G20 summit. So
Yeah.
which is basically happened in 2023. So the committee also, the G20 also, they had a discussion regarding the this called product tampering certifications. So
Oh,
you can
interesting.
imagine the kind of seriousness we can see in this industry. So I personally believe that okay, because when we buy a products and all that, it has some embedded malwares and all that, which can modify the functionality and everything, which can basically bring new risk to the organization. And as a customer, we don't have very visibility on the products. So now we have a lot of what we called third-party companies who basically test the products and check whether they are modified or not, and they're giving a proof for that. So if you can imagine, this discussion was happening in G20 summit, okay, and from there they basically instruct this particular thing, and now it is in a syllabus of CISSP. So you can imagine how important is this syllabus. So now there is a new thing is introduced called as an anti-certification test. So whenever any vendor has basically submit the product and all that, it basically pass through the anti-certification test that signify this product has not been tampered. So that is called as part of this product tampering and counterfeiting. Then when it comes to the silicon root of trust, as I said, it is nothing. It is your TPM only. You can have a
Yeah.
TPM, which is
Yeah.
basically ensure the integrity state and all that, which ensure the uniformity of the configuration. Physically unclonable function mean you cannot copy the physical device, because when we're having a multiple devices in the organization, make sure it should be unique. Each device should have a unique serial number and all that. And as software bill material is basically, or it is already US government has passed this order for SBOM and all that. So it was there already a discussion in domain 8, but glad that okay, they have introduced now in a domain 1 from a third party risk management.
Software bill of materials means they need to say exactly what's in the software and the
Kind
software
of,
code and like what.
kind of,
Okay, yeah.
All the code dependencies, components, everything that comprises to make a fully functional working software. So the
Okay.
SBOM is an integral part of that.
And definitely it will be very, very important. Those who are watching this video, I would recommend them to make sure you should have a very good understanding of SBOM, because this is also one of the matter of discussion happen in the third party supply chain, cybersecurity and all that. So
True.
when you basically buy open source products and all that, there's no third
True.
party who take the assurance of whether product basically has a malware or not malware. So SBOM basically, so we have a tools now, Synac and all that. There's tools which basically scan the list of open source modules, do the deep inspections in the modules and check whether they have approved modules or not, and they give you the reports. So I personally believe that okay, SBOM definitely is very, very important from the exam perspective. Those who are watching this video.
Yeah.
These all things came in specifically after the limelight, like your Log4j.
Log4j, SolarWind. Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, and a lot of my family, relatives, and friends, they're just like, I don't download any apps to my phone, and my phone, I don't really put a lot of personal stuff on there. And they put all these apps, and they download Venmo, and I just recently got Venmo. Like it took a lot of pressure for people to like get me to get Venmo, because they're like, why are you so paranoid about it? I'm like, because they're like, hackers aren't going to always target everybody. You're not always going to be the target, and the apps are secured, or the apps are there verified by Apple. I'm like, you guys don't think like I do, or like some of the security professionals do. Your phone, your iPhone, wherever it is made in some factory in another country that you have no control over. And maybe that factory manager has been told by that government, hey, you need to start putting chips in all these phones that are going to other countries, and they need to put in there. And I read that in the book. This is how they tell me the world ends. So that stuff actually really goes on. And I know it's extreme that you think like every iPhone is like has a little chip in the factory that it's made in, but that's just how I kind of think. So all that stuff about unclonable function and tamper proofing, if the phone itself comes out of the factory compromised already, then you there's nothing you can do about that. And that's kind of how I keep my mindset. Like I try to assume that it's a little extreme, but I kind of assume that to keep me safe.
And one more important element we're talking about, because people have this dilemma about SBOM, is that it only talks about three things: current license, patch status, and more important part is about the versions, along with that open source model. So that is basically more aligned now with the patch management function also, I believe. Yeah. So now they also added a new section here is cryptocurrency, AI, and blockchain, which was there in the domain 3, I personally believe, right, Prashant? Right, Luke?
Yeah, it is. That's
So
heavy on the
cryptocurrency,
CCSP as well.
Yeah.
Emerging technologies like that.
So cryptocurrency is basically there, which is required for the functions and all that. AI, blockchain, which is basically there. So this is the new part which is added in the domain 1. And
Yeah,
rest is, I believe, same. Yeah.
Just to comment on blockchain, I learned something new is blockchain is not just exclusively cryptocurrency. It's also like if two companies want to engage in, or if two or more companies want to engage in exchanging contracts with each other, contracts that talk about finances and
contracts
on all that. Yeah, they can do blockchain on the contract. So it's anonymous, but it's verifiable, and you can't like trace it back to who it was, and it's unchangeable. You can't change it. So companies using blockchain to manage their contracts is pretty cool, I thought.
Yeah. Digital ledgers, supplier contracts, everything.
Digital ledgers, that's the word. Nice one, Prashant.
Yeah, so digital ledger is basically important because for the integrity transaction, and nowadays it is used in a PO also, payment orders and all that, just to make sure it should not be counter and all that.
It's still decentralized, but it's decentralized, but it's still within a certain domain, within a company's own domain, but it's still decentralized.
Yeah. So it's every block gets being signed and verified. So just for the benefit of everyone who's watching this, my headphone wire got tangled somewhere, so That's what I was trying to extract. So yeah, for the benefit of everyone who's watching this, remember we learned about ECC in cryptography. So
Yeah.
ECC
Yeah,
is one of
totally.
the most preferred algorithm for the blockchain. Because of its smaller key size, it's very effective and highly efficient for signing these blockchains so that it gets verified. And it is because it uses quadratic function, it's almost, I won't say completely, but it's almost impossible to compromise because of its mathematical complexity using quadratic function. So
It's one block depends on the previous block, right?
previous block, yes.
So that's also like cipher blockchaining, our old classic
But
CISSP
ECC,
topic.
yeah, but ECC and it was an alternate of RSA, right, for the data validations and all. Because if you take example of RSA, RSA has a lot of computations issues and all that, and it was a old and it so this was also work on the prime factorization. So this is basically introduced as a ECC was basically introduced as a this one, no, what you call forget the name of the one functionality of the ECC. I forget the name, discrete logarithm. Sorry, yeah. So it is
Oh
based on a
yeah,
discrete
yeah,
logarithm.
yeah.
So they use a small keys with the same quantity, same size of RSA keys and providing a same level of security. So with the limited computation, they offer the same thing. And that is why it is a preferable. Even your Google homepage is on ECC. Do you know that? If you see the
In
Google
fact,
homepage,
better. In fact, better than RSA, to be honest. With
Hmm.
a smaller key length, it offers better security than RSA.
agree. Because
Yeah.
definitely, no, that was an old algorithm, no? Diffie-Hellman,
Yep,
sorry,
yep.
RSA was an old algorithm, use their
Yes.
bigger prime number for calculations and all that. But still
Yeah.
today also Gmail, your Gmail page is on RSA, but Google homepage is basically still on ECC because Google page is basically browsed by a lot of user on the thin clients and all that mobile device and all that. So that's the reason. Because when you go for cryptography, also we need to balance the security and functionality. That's the
Okay.
reason.
True.
I think there's no change in the domain too, I believe. Everything was same.
No. Yeah.
I
But one
concur.
thing, yeah, so one thing I can recommend everyone who's watching this video is you need to have a good understanding on this data roles. It's very, very important. And second
Yeah.
important part is basically your data protection methods. Very important to understand DRM, DLP, CASB usage. So that's something is
Yeah.
there. Yeah.
And that goes along with the other topic, and CASB and all that goes along with secure access service edge as well, SASE. And also, of course, don't sleep on the classifications. You have to know the classifications. That's the basis of all protections.
Yes, industry classification and military classifications. Yeah.
Yeah.
Prashant, you want to share any viewpoint on domain 2?
No. It's pretty. It's
Okay.
my
So now
favorite because it's very small.
my
favorite
favorite is domain 3.
Mine's is 4.
Oh, it
You
is.
guys know why.
Yeah. Domain 3 is always great. Yeah.
Yeah. 3, secure access service edge for sure is a new topic, and this comes back to two things that are now emerging in security and IT, and in general, it's the cloud. That's first of all, and also remote users all over the world. You got people working over, in coffee shops in the home, and not just working remote, but working remotely with different connections. So you have one
Devices.
user using an MPLS, you have one user using an IPsec VPN, and you have another user using broadband like 5G, and they all need to have the same stability and connection and be able to connect to the app. So if somebody's in Washington, D.C., and their SaaS applications are in New York, they're going to get there if their headquarters SaaS applications is in New York, it's like 2 or maybe 1 to 2 router hops. But if that same user is in Doha, Qatar, and then the headquarters is in New York, you're looking at 6 to 7 to 8 router hops. What SASE does is bring those SaaS applications somewhere closer to Doha, somewhere closer to New Delhi, somewhere closer to Washington, D.C., using the cloud. And using that cloud, they have to use... so to access that, before users can access the SaaS applications, SASE uses those security functions. They use CASB, they use firewall as a service, they use zero trust, and they use a secure web gateway. So once you pass all 4 of those things, which is part of SASE, SASE is like an architecture. You can't just call up like somebody and say, hey, I want a SASE product. Once it goes through those 4 security functions, then they get access to the cloud applications that's close to them, closer to their network, otherwise known as the edge computing, meaning they're not going back to headquarters. They're going to somewhere closer that's located in the cloud and somewhere else.
Yeah. The services are cached to the something which is near to their proximity.
Yeah, and what does that sound like, guys? Content delivery
Network working on layer 3 of OSI.
And one more important thing, CDN is directly deal with availability part. So that's something we also need to check.
100%. 100%.
And we also have a validations. Yeah.
I
And then
want.
people who play.
Go ahead,
Sorry,
Prashant.
people
Go ahead.
people who play Counter-Strike, Call of Duty online, they would probably know CDN really, really, really well.
Very well. I better not notice a single bit of lag. Not a single. I got a fiber optic cable connection. I got a big computer. If I detect any lag, I'm complaining. I'm complaining right away. I'm saying the server sucks. Hackers. How much? I want my money back on the $7 game that I bought 10 years ago, and I've been playing since I was pretty much 13.
Seriously?
And I think quantum cryptography and key distributions also like added on to that. It was in the books, but it was never in the syllabus. Now it's in the syllabus.
Oh, was it not? Why have I been torturing people by
No, it
teaching
was in
them
the books.
string
That's
theory?
why. Yeah, go ahead, Prashant. Go ahead and talk about photons and quantum theory and string theory. No, Prashant is an expert at quantum cryptography and all things quantum. Hey, you know what's funny,
No,
Prashant? Like, I think I'm really good at astronomy. Like, I know about the galaxies, the starlight, and I think I'm really good at astronomy. Then I go into astronomy club, and like these are filled with ex-NASA engineers, and I felt like the dumbest person there. It's like if you think you know about quantum cryptography, and then you walk into like a physics department, you're like, "Ooh, I don't know anything." These guys are writing formulas on the blackboard and everything.
True. Yeah.
We know enough for
No,
the
it's a-
exams, and we know enough for security.
Yeah, of course. It's just like out of hobby. You knowing
Yeah.
and learning quantum out of hobby. A
Yeah.
weird hobby to carry.
Yeah,
but it's cool.
Okay.
It's a very important topic. Uncertainty principle. Quantum cryptography is totally based on uncertainty principle. If you want to learn more about uncertainty principle, probably you want to know more about the cats. Schrodinger cats. Cat is dead and alive at the same time. That's what quantum superposition is all about.
Correct. The key distribution part is the most important because that I think that 100% prevents man in the middle. 100%. Because if you disturb the keys, if you even look at the keys or look at the photons being exchanged, it changes state, right?
Yes.
So just looking, not even touching, just looking changes the state. How does it do that? We don't know. That's the mystery. That's the mystery of it.
That's the mystery. Yeah, it was actually demonstrated in the photon split experiment. So the observer, the moment it saw, they changed its wave nature to particle nature again. It's something.
How does it do that?
When I talk about people feel it's like a paranoid, right? It's something which is hallucinating, like photon going back into the time, changing its position, changing its nature. Unbelievable.
How do they do that? I can't understand it.
Yeah.
And
anyways, coming back to CSSP.
Anyway. I think the other topic was managing the information system lifecycle. I'll give you guys one way to know this easily. Understand the system development lifecycle, and it's the same thing. It's pretty much the same thing.
Sure.
Oh, yes.
The data lifecycle, it's all the same steps. It's all the same considerations.
There was a topic in domain 3 that was around system lifecycle. Can you scroll down, Prabh, a little bit?
Yeah. This one, manage information.
Oh, yes. But that's pretty much
easy.
everything in our SDLC, right?
Exactly.
The system development. Yeah. I don't know what different they have in here. I would probably wait for version 10 of official study guide to come up because I don't see it any different than normal SDLC that we have, system development lifecycle.
It's not. It's not.
It's not, right?
Not at all like that.
Cool.
It's all the same. If you know the general processes of lifecycle steps, you know information lifecycle already.
Right.
But is it
who's gonna give you information like that on podcasts about CIS, huh? Only these three kings. These three kings right now, the only ones that are gonna give you straight up information. Right? I think people get amnesia sometimes about who we are. They gotta remember, we're gonna give it to you straight. Trust no one but us. All right?
No, trust no one but verify.
Yeah,
if you follow zero trust.
Yeah, trust us, but everybody else you gotta verify.
That's true. Okay, so this is basically the requirement we had, and so one thing is added here is Kerberos exploitation, which was not there. I believe it is something new.
It was there in domain 5.
Kerberos.
It was there from domain 5 perspective. It was introduced in Kerberos exploitation.
Roasting. Yeah.
No, this is different, and this is different. Kerberos exploitation, it might be having this a silver ticket and golden ticket, right?
Yeah, that was there. That was there the last
Yeah, it
iteration.
was there
that
in
was
domain
there.
5. It was there in domain 5
Yeah.
actually. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was
Yep.
now they
Oh,
have
it's in
removed to
3
domain 3
now.
and domain 3
So
now.
it's probably heavier on the encryption aspect of it then.
And the key management practice, which is having a cycle. Sorry,
Yeah.
cryptography life cycle. Sorry, cryptography life cycle.
Oh, good point, Prab. You're right. You're right. You're right. Kerberos exploit will relate to the cryptographic lifecycle as a whole. You're right. You're right.
And it is
KMM, key
basically more
management.
it is more from a governance perspective.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
It is more from a governance perspective. Okay.
I remember there was a topic previously, homomorphic encryption. Do they still have it?
Yes, they have it.
Yeah, they do.
They have it.
They have not explicitly called it out, but I remember homomorphic encryption. I mean, there in CCSP there's a very wide description of this, but CISSP have still talks about in the basics.
And
Okay.
one more important element is added here is which I missed is HPC was there, containerization was there, and ICS is there, TPM is there. And only thing is they added is shared access service usage. Rest is basically same.
And that's secure access service. That's a huge topic, by the way. That's not
Exactly.
like you read the term. You got to really, that's a huge thing. You got to know that.
Exactly.
That's like zero trust, firewalls and servers all combined together.
And I have
and
a
edge
strong feeling,
computing.
I have a strong feeling as CCSP revising the syllabus from 2020. They are planning to roll out the new version in August.
August.
Okay.
Yeah, August they are releasing, so they have added some new content from that perspective also. Yeah.
Hey, can I ask you guys a question that I get a lot and then I see around a lot? You're supposed to think like a manager, right? But there'll be others who will be like, I think like a manager didn't work for me. It was all technical. It was a technical exam. Think like a manager didn't work for me. What are your thoughts on that? Like it didn't have to think like a manager. It was more technical than everything. Yeah, go ahead, Prashant.
Okay. See, it's probably I'll blame the CAD format for that. I'll tell you based on I have never not appeared in the CAD format, but I can probably give you the experience what my wife rather went ahead with the thing. So in linear, what you know is you have a dedicated set of questions that you probably will see in your examination, right? You know that 250 questions or whatever the number of questions that you have. In CAD format, what happens based on my response of my current question, the next question is going to pop up based on the difficulty, based on my response that I have. So if I have answered the question correct, the next question will pop up with me, will be slightly difficult level. The point is again, it's based on my assumption. I don't know the rationale behind it, but based on my assumption, what I feel is if I end up answering, let's say, a couple of questions wrong or 3 or 4 questions wrong, the 5th question that I will see, probably it's going to be a straightforward technical question. For example, random. How many layers are there in OSI model? Not saying that this question will show up, but randomly, right?
7.
It's pure standard, right? Subtle, straightforward standard question that will be there. So yeah, and there's no ambiguity in that. You have to have one right answer. For example, let's say 7. Probably what else are the straightforward questions I can think of? Like IPv6, IPv4 addressing bit, right? V6 128-bit, V4 32
how many
bits.
bits in one? How many bits in the other?
Right. Yeah. So the point I'm trying to make here is the majority of the question relies heavily on the management thinking mindset. But in case if we end up putting ourselves in a situation where, again, I might be wrong, but this is my assumption. If I end up putting myself in a situation where I'm not answering some of the questions correctly, the system is forced to give me something so that I can get some kind of a confidence interval rule by that. And then they start ending up giving the questions which are more inclined towards technicalities rather than having a management mindset. Again, my assumption. I might be horribly wrong on that, but again.
Go ahead, Prabh.
No, go ahead.
I mean, I gotta. I'm the guy who wrote the book on it, so I gotta defend that. I can't just let you go on thinking it's a technical exam that cuts into my thing. So let's look at one of the things like northbound, southbound, east-west traffic. That's a highly technical thing to know. If you're communicating with the SASE controller and the network devices, that's southbound traffic. If you're communicating with the SASE controller and the SDN application, that's northbound traffic, northbound interface traffic. If the router and switches are communicating with each other, that's east-west traffic. Okay. A manager usually doesn't have to know that or know about that. They rely on the engineers. But if you know that, then you know at a high level which way traffic is going, which devices are interacting. Like a router and a switch aren't going up and down. They're not going north and south. They're going east and west. So just knowing this will give you a bigger picture of what the overall network is going to be like and how the flow of the network traffic is going to go. If you know that, you can make more high level decisions like reduce the complexity, have consistent data protection throughout the devices, and lower your administrative effort given where the northbound, southbound traffic is going and what devices they're interacting with. And with SASE secure, it's also, you can have a Cisco load balancer. I'm sorry, you can have an F5 load balancer. You can have a Cisco router and a checkpoint firewall. But southbound SASE traffic will be application based, right? It's software defined networking. It's going to reduce your cost because you don't need the same hardware for everything. The SASE application can adapt and push policies down to all the different network devices, regardless of their vendor. So knowing technical things about those terms will let you make the high-level decisions on how to proceed with either fixing, updating, correcting, or making small little changes that increase the overall efficiency of your organization.
Yeah.
See, one more important thing, Luke and Prashant, I want to amend here is, see, if there is a question, okay, I always recommend my students also, or whoever basically reach out to me on YouTube or LinkedIn and all that. Definitely exam is a think like a manager, but it doesn't mean that all the question will be process oriented questions. I'll give an example of that. We just had a 10 minutes, 15 minutes back discussion on RSA and ECC. We need to know high level technical why ECC is better than RSA. And I think Prashant and Luke, you guys agree with me.
100%.
Exam is not about testing how to configure RSA or ECC. Okay, so whenever there is a technical questions are there, okay, to answer the technical question, you should know how it works. Or if you are clear with how it works, automatically you know where it works. I repeat again, if you know how it works, then definitely you know where it works. So as a consultant, as a manager, someone reached out to me and he said, okay, we need to build the DMZ. We are planning to deploy a firewall. So what is your preference? Do you wish to install the this called next generation firewall in the border of the network, or should we have it after the DMZ? So you know what is the thin line difference in the packet filtering firewall and next generation firewall. If you install the next generation firewall on the border of the network, it will take more time. It will be more computed. So better is basically we can have a packet filtering firewall on the border of the network to filter out the huge amount of traffic on a high level, and then we can have a next generation firewall after the net. So this is what think like a manager. Question is not about okay how you configure the firewall. Question is all about, as a consultant you discover the risk, as a manager you find the risk, how to patch that, how to address the risk. So this is what you need to know, understand, and that is how the question is framed.
I think you've made a very valid point. It's very important for us to realize what exactly you call it as a technical question and a managerial question. I remember there was a scenario. I'm not going to straightly put up the question, but the scenario is, let's say I'm going to spend 30 seconds on that. So the point was the NAC device is there, network access control. And if there is a device that the laptop, the endpoint wants to connect to a NAC device, connect to a network, but it doesn't have any kind of necessary patches, policy, upgrades, or antivirus, NAC will never let that device go in the pre-admission philosophy. Now, from an architecture perspective, what is the solutioning that you want to let it do? Like maybe you want to create a captive portal and have that endpoint connect to a captive portal, get all the patches, updates, policy downloaded, then again connect to the NAC. Now, this is a purely architectural question, relies you to have a technical understanding of everything. But CISSP doesn't test you at that level, right? CISSP is fundamentally going to test you at level. What is what NAC is, what is the purpose of NAC, and why do we need it? But that doesn't mean that you don't know. You should not know what NAC is, right? Knowing NAC is absolutely a prerequisite for qualifying to call yourself as a CISSP. And if someone is getting a question on NAC, that I don't think that we should start calling it as a technical question. That's again my personal opinion.
No, that's good. That's good. Yeah, that shouldn't just be opinion. That should be a rule. I want to make that a rule right now. That should be an official rule. Like Prashant, what Prashant just said, that's like, listen to that. Don't just don't be afraid of network. Don't be afraid of technical topics. You know, sometimes we think like it's a managerial exam. Oh, I don't have to really know about anything about networks, networking or software engineering. You're just trying to fool yourself because you yourself are not confident in that and you don't want to be. Put in the work, get to know it, and it's not that bad. It's not that bad. The more you know it, the better it's going to be for you.
Yeah.
Oh, I see VPC is there too. Virtual private cloud. I mean, the exam is a heavy cloud-based now. It's switching to a heavy
Yeah.
cloud-based focus.
It's needed. It's a demand of the industry
EdgeWorks,
now. Right.
yeah. Management plane, that was a tough one. That was a
No,
tough one on the CCSP.
and they have also added this part which is called it was not there as a network.
It was called edge computing, right?
Yeah,
Yeah. Fog computing as well.
yeah.
And I will say that when it comes to edge networks and fog computing, it's not just about remote users. I think it has a lot to do with IoT devices and their
Right.
ability to process things locally and then send it to the telemetry data to the main headquarters later.
Yep.
You know, like if it's like the example I use, like if there's a farm that has an IoT sprinkler system, it needs to do local processing right there at the farm. It can't reach out to the cloud and utilize that bandwidth. It needs to process and know like how much water to sprinkle on the plants at that time, given the sun, given the weather conditions, and adapt at that time with the local processing nodes on site, not go to the cloud and do the computations there. Traffic signals, traffic sensors, all that kind of stuff.
And one more important thing is basically we're talking about here is VPC is very important when it comes to public cloud and all that, because that's something, and that should be aware about that along with that edge network and all that, but that is the most important part. And along with that, SDN is also very important. It's there in the old syllabus, but it is introduced in the new syllabus. But one thing which is interesting here is they also added this part, transport architecture, which is called as a management plane, cut through and store forward, which is a function of infrastructure layer, and performance metric. Traffic flow was a high level in the old syllabus, but in new syllabus, they have keep it as a separate topic, which is called transport architecture and performance metrics.
Yeah. Definitely know the difference between data control and management plane. And this is what Prabh said is you have to know software-defined networking. You also have to know how it interplays with software-defined wide area network. And the reason they mention data control management plane is because SDN and SD-WAN extracts the control plane. Network devices have 3 planes, right? Data control management. The software-defined networking extracts the control plane from the networking devices and uses the control plane for its function. So SDN's all about manipulating the control plane and pushing it down to the devices which has the data and the management plane.
Exactly.
It's
And one thing is that
decoupling the
if the
data and
control
plane.
Yeah,
sorry.
yeah. It creates an abstraction layer between
True.
the control plane and all the other two.
Yeah.
And one more important thing is there, if SDN control layer is basically down, everything is basically down.
Yeah.
It
So
could be
that is-
single point of failure. Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Sorry?
And it could be single point of failure.
Yeah.
And it's very important to know. See, SDN, SD-WAN, software-defined security, software-defined data center, they all are the separate subjects to be on it on its own. Probably we don't have to get into the details, but knowing some of the basic security recommendation, like the SDN controller need to have a role-based access control, constant patches, monitoring, assessment, all those things. Because it's completely API based, API need to be secured. All those things need to, because these SD-WAN is application aware. You can control what kind of an application you want to access, set the priority. Multiple things can happen. So again, the discussion that Luke, what you initiated, that management versus technical. It is still a management certification, but that doesn't mean that we do not have to know these fundamental concepts here.
Yeah, you're gonna be a CISSP. You gotta, if somebody asks you about secure access service edge, you gotta be able to answer.
Right.
Right.
And one more important element is basically here is microsegmentation, which is basically the foundation of zero trust architecture. I think they have added this
yes.
part, network overlay, distributed firewalls. They just consider this as a part of a microsegmentation, which is also a part of a zero trust architecture.
Zero trust architecture. Yeah.
Yeah.
Then this is also a new
Zero
topic. Yeah,
trust is a very important topic.
I agree.
Yeah. It's the future, basically. It's the future until it's the past.
and and this is also the new topic, which is called as a monitoring and measurement, which include the network
True,
observability, traffic flow. This is more from a metrics
true.
perspective. And if you're dealing with a third party and all that, you can amend that in a contract. So from contract perspective, I believe this can be the very important deal with SOC and
Yeah.
everything.
It's heavy in the CCSP
Yeah,
too.
Zigbee is also, yeah.
It's heavier in ISAP as well. Trust me. There's a
Oh, yeah?
separate section in
Okay.
ISAP. Yeah. So there's a topic called as traffic flow analysis that talks about monitoring management. Like, for example, the reason why we recommend people not to put any sensitive stuffs on the email subjects, because we don't end up encrypting those things. Rather than we end up encrypting the payload, the mail packages, the attachments, but we avoid anything on the headers and these subject lines. We do enable the DKIM keys, but the payload doesn't get encrypted because for the purpose of traffic flow analysis, it is
Oh,
needed for the
to reduce
monitoring
the
and
bandwidth and stuff?
reduce the effect on performance. But at the same time, we also have to take care of the monitoring and management. Understand what all things are going outside, coming inside for those purposes.
Our resident ISAP expert is Prashant.
Yeah.
I learned from the master himself, Master Uguay, Prabh Nair.
Nice.
He
Hey, Prab,
he's working on architect side.
Prab, in our messages earlier today, we said, "Hey, we all ready for the?" I said, "I'll see you guys in 2 hours for the meeting," and you replied with UDS, UDS. What does that mean? I was laughing about that.
Sorry, it might
You
be in a
replied.
hurry. It might be I replied in a hurry. Sorry for that.
You said UDS,
I-
UDS. I'm like, what does that mean? I was
I-
laughing for
I'll
some
be
reason.
I'll be able to decrypt that. I have the
Okay,
key for
okay,
that.
okay. Thanks. Thanks.
He actually meant yes.
Oh, it
And
was a
Yeah,
instead of
typo.
yes, because so see, if you look at the keys, the
Yeah.
key next to Y is U, the key next to E just down is D, and
Holy
S is S.
cow! Good job, Prashant. You really decrypted it. It looks like ciphertext to me. Good decryption. Good decryption. You used a substitution cipher, is what he used.
So yeah, so I'll tell you. So I used to work with a bank, right? It was an American bank, and there we actually learned about the topic, which is again important for CISSP as well. It's called as behavioral analysis. So you read a content, you understand what's the mindset of creating that content. So you were trained for that. So you probably read an email, you realize what exactly is the intention of sending this email outside or things. So user behavioral analysis. It was called as advanced behavioral analysis at that point of time. Again, I'm talking about an era which is like probably 13 years ago. It's very long time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So next part is basically we have a domain. Okay, one more important thing which is missed here is this one: implement the communication channel. They keep it as a separate this time new module, right? It was not like that. I think they have kept
that's
as
new. The word
yeah.
channels and all that is definitely new.
Yeah. So especially their conferencing and Zoom rooms, security, then third-party connectivity telecom providers, hardware support, and this is the data communication black hole network satellite. So this is something is added new in this particular syllabus. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it makes sense because post-COVID, people are working from home and they're doing the online, right?
Yeah.
So, that something is part of the function. So I believe that okay, this can be the very important topic.
Very good.
As things,
Very good.
Prashant, why your
nailed
face
it.
is a bit strange? What happened?
I'm trying to look into the topics, right? I personally don't like the voice communication too much, but yeah, it's just trying to give it an ugly look. At least remotely, I can give.
I was trying to a long time ago. I was trying to create my own VoIP company when VoIP first came out. I was trying to I had my own PBX at my home. Me and my friend were trying to create like a VoIP solution for everybody because we thought it was going to be the next thing. So we learned about SIP and VoIP. And my friend was a CCIE voice. He was CCIE voice, and we tried to set it all up. But then all of our lives got a little busy, and the next thing you know, Skype comes out and all that comes out. Like that was our original idea, and like Skype and all them comes out. If only we followed through with that, we would have been quadrillionaires right now. Oh well. How many people have said that? I thought of that before it came out. I thought of Facebook and Instagram before it came out. Yeah, all of us. Like all of us in IT have said that.
I actually, I'll be very honest. So it was just after my college, and I was having a lovely evening time, the way college graduates just have with their friends, right?
Yeah.
Me and one of my seniors, who is actually the reason why I'm in security. He was my very first guru who introduced me to the world of security. And he and I were on his terrace and talking about the way US has a concept of social security number. Why can't we have in India, right? It's very important. And 2 years later, the concept of unique identifier came in India, which we call it as Aadhaar card. Trust me, we
Telling you,
thought
man.
about it.
Telling you, man. We should have executed.
Who is this guy?
Yeah. He is, I mean, he's not someone you would probably know. He doesn't have any social media presence or
Oh,
anywhere. I mean, he's a college dropout.
okay.
And yeah, I was in first year, he was in the fourth year, and I was in fourth year, we're still in fourth year. So you probably,
But really
but
commendable.
he introduced me to he introduced me to something what I'm like lifetime, like it's in depth that I probably would. I mean, he and I, we both decided to have our own cybersecurity startup as well. It's
Yeah,
but again,
I got mentors like that. The guy I worked, my mentor, he showed me that if things are not done, you gotta stay after work and finish the job. Like he devoted his life to IT. Like if something is wrong at 5 p.m. and it's gonna take 5 hours to fix, he is there until 10 p.m. And I stayed with him, and that's when I learned like you can't leave until that job is done, man. And that really stuck with me. And I thank him every day. He's still at that job. He's still stuck at that one job. He hasn't moved in like 20 years. But I still call him on his birthday every day. I'm like, hey, just want to let you know, like, thank you for everything and the principles you have instilled in me. That has made me what I am today. And I always thank him for that.
And yesterday only I was reading one thing. If you're consistent with one particular process, you can do mastery. That is enough. You don't need to be jack of all trade.
Yeah. Yeah.
There should not be
Yeah.
any second choice. Yeah.
Yeah.
But one thing is that those who are watching this video, I would recommend them, to check that area of SIP, RTP protocols. You should be familiar with these protocols because
Yeah.
that give the visibility about how things work.
yes,
Okay.
right.
That
Luke
is something
actually
is very
seeded
nice.
a very, very controversial topic today, and I'm constantly trying to remind everyone that you need to know the technology. That doesn't mean the examination is technical.
Yeah. Right.
That's true. Okay,
Okay.
so we are in domain 4 right now. So in domain 4, we're talking about more about from the perspective is identity access management systems, where we're talking
Domain
about the
5.
controls. Sorry, domain 5. Yeah, domain 5. So I think this is same information, same what
All
they
same.
The,
introduce. Yeah, this
they
is also same, right?
services, they introduced services
Yeah,
5.1.6.
yeah. So
This
they introduced
was not there.
services. Yeah. So it was not there in the old. So they introduced new, which is called services part. That is the most important part. And I think the rest is same. I believe so.
Yeah, I mean,
They
federated identity was all there, but there is one
there
thing they
was
did add:
privilege escalation.
policy. They added policy enforcement points and policy decision engines, which goes back to zero trust once more,
Yeah.
because that's where you use it.
Yeah.
So that's
They
something
also
they have added. Yeah.
introduced 5.2.1. They also introduced 5.2.1, groups and roles. Earlier it was permission, privilege, and rights. They also introduced
Yeah.
groups and roles.
That has to do with directory services, right? Like maybe LDAP,
Yep.
maybe as a
Yep.
yeah, okay,
Yep.
yeah.
Yep. Yep.
And service account is also new term they have basically
Yes.
introduced, I believe.
Service account management.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you
Yes.
guys define service account? I have my own definition. It's the accounts that you use to manage devices, right? Like you use it's like an admin account that you use the service account to manage a device.
Running a
But it's
job.
not a user account. Yeah,
Not
right,
a
right.
user.
Like
Running a
not
job,
just
doing
not
some
only can we
process.
use the account, but like the computer itself can use that account.
Yes. So there
Yeah,
are two type of these are actually the two sort of I would say faceless accounts or generic accounts that we have. So
Yeah.
one is interactive, when user ends up using these accounts to make some kind of a changes in the applications. So these accounts are generally managed within the PAM solution, like CyberArk.
Right.
Then we have these non-interactive service accounts, which are used by the computers, like you said, right? It's to run a process, run a job, some kind of a batch,
like a cron
and
job.
maybe
Yeah, right.
cron job. Yeah, right. Those kind of things.
Okay.
And one more important thing which is basically there here is pseudo privilege escalations. So we have a vertical privilege, we have a horizontal privilege, which is basically part of this topic. I believe that's something you must be aware about, right? That
Yeah.
is also
Yeah.
important.
Yep. And auditing its use is really good too. Like how often is sudo used, who is using it, how long have they been using it, and that goes along with the service accounts as well. Service
Agree.
accounts use
Yep,
sudo,
yep.
so you have to really
True.
keep a monitoring on
Yep.
that.
And then we basically have a implement or the authentication mechanism, which is already there. So it is already there. So if
Mhm.
you come to the domain 6, something, there's nothing. They introduce one part which is called pen testing. They talk about red, blue, and purple team exercise. And they also introduce a new part which is called how to do the assessment on on-prem, cloud, and hybrid, which is a new part, I believe.
Yeah.
It was
And
not
the
there in the old syllabus. Yeah.
Yeah, and the audit strategies that go along with that and hybrid environments. It's really all CCSP stuff, guys. It really is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
agree.
True. True.
Rest is actually same, I believe. Rest is something which is already same.
7, no
Yep.
changes, I don't
7, no
believe.
changes. Yeah.
Now, they
7,
have just
yeah, no. 7, they have
they
changes.
actually put they actually put SOAR from domain 8 to domain 7. That's the only
Hmm.
change they have done.
Oh, that's smart. That's where it should be too. It should be in
Artifacts
domain
was there.
7.
Ideally.
Artifacts was new.
Artifacts.
Threat
Yeah.
feeding and threat hunting was new, I believe. Yeah. SOAR was there in the domain 8. They introduced in domain 7.
Yeah.
Tuning was a newer.
But threat
Continuous monitoring
intel
was there. Yeah.
threat intel was always there in previous update as well.
Threat intel was a heading as a topic was there, but they don't talk about IO and IOC. So threat feed was IO and IOC,
Oh,
and
I've-
hunting was a loop.
I've been teaching way in advance then. Probably
Yeah,
now
you are
the
that is why, na.
students
Yeah,
are threat
you're-
hunters now.
You're clairvoyant, Prashant. So you've been ahead of the ISC squared the entire time. You've been 2 CSP exam updates ahead.
That is why all the messy students, all the problematic students, I give to him only.
So yeah, Prop, continue doing that. I like hearing about those
Yeah.
stories.
I need a raise. I need a raise.
Prop's like, well, you can't talk to me about that. You
You
can't hear that. He's having audio issues.
So the next part is basically UBA was there in the old syllabus also. Configuration
For sure.
management, they have made
For
it.
sure.
Automation, they introduced new part. Automation was not there. Automation
yeah.
basically
Yeah.
required uniformity. So automation is a new topic. Rest is basically same, no doubt in that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So glad is that they introduced the firewall in this particular section.
Yeah.
Whitelisting, blacklisting was in a domain 8, so they added in this little bit. Yeah. Rest sandboxing. This is a new topic, right, Prashant, Luke? Machine learning
It
and
was
AI
the-
based tool.
It was there in domain 8, neural network.
They
Yeah.
talk about that, but now they're talking about AI basically from SOC perspective.
Yeah,
AI-based
for
tools.
automation. It goes back to automation like we
Yeah.
just said earlier.
Yep.
So now they introduce AI based
detection automation, not preventative.
Gen AI,
automation
Gen AI,
detection.
you can say Gen AI. Then support patch is same, multiprocessing same, processing
Mhm.
sites same,
Testing plans are all 100%
yeah, all are
same.
same. Yeah,
It's my
And-
favorite module, disaster recovery. I enjoy talking about it. It's
that's
really,
good.
really good. Yeah.
how many hours you take, Prashant and Luke, when it comes to domain 7 SOC?
The
What do you mean take?
entire
Like,
security operation. If you have to go ahead and explain to someone about domain 7, how probably tentatively how many hours you
Duration of SOC.
duration.
So it's weird with me. I would take about 2 hours in domain 7, but domain 7 relies heavily on domain 1 and 4. So I have to teach domain 1 and 4 in order for them to understand domain 7.
Yeah.
Okay.
Considering you have to teach every bits and pieces, not
Prashant,
only
you?
specific. My yeah, sorry, please go ahead.
Let me give you a good answer. If I were to do it if I were to teach a group of people in one go, I would explain domain 7
40
in
people. 40 people are there.
40 people. I would have to say 6 to 8 hours
Mine is
for a
8.
complete breakthrough. Yeah, right.
Mine
Maybe
is
even
basically total 10 hours in which 30 total, 9 hour 30 minutes approx. Yeah.
Yeah, that's about right. All day, basically. all day.
Yeah, whole day. It's a
But
lengthy
but
one.
but 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 in my if I having this boot camp, which is a class boot camp and all that, there I completed. We have to complete this in a 7 hours. So the schedule like that: Monday domain one, it will take. Tuesday domain one, domain two, some part domain three will start. Third day domain three entire day. Last 1 hour domain four. Then Thursday domain four, so domain five, six, and fourth day domain Monday will be the domain one, Tuesday will be the domain one, domain two, domain three some part, day three domain three some part, domain four, day four domain four, domain five, domain six. So domain seven and eight on the last day.
Oh boy.
Wow. Wow.
I fail to understand why people sign up for these 5 days boot camp. What are they
Corporate,
processing?
public classes, not for this is basically sponsored by the companies. They can only work from Monday to Friday. That's the problem.
Oh,
Yeah. And at least in my case, I take training from 9 to 6, 9 to 7. If I take about the corporate trainings, it will be 9 to 7.
I'll give
In
up. I'll give
9
up.
to 6 is not
Yikes.
possible.
That's crazy. That's a crazy schedule.
That's
And then you have
right.
free time to make your videos on YouTube. I'm like, man,
That is
Prabh,
Saturday, Sunday. That is Saturday, Sunday.
you're a master. I mean, Saturday, Sunday, I'd
Sunday.
rest. But no, but
I'm
you
releasing
know,
one video now, which is a 40-question video of domain 4 technical questions. So my
excellent.
last week
Excellent.
went exhausted. No, it's not excellent. Last week, entire Saturday I took editing. Sunday I validated everything. Sunday evening my file got correct. That's why I sent a message, right? Just imagine 6 hours I took to record the entire 2 hour video of domain
Oh
4,
yeah,
40 questions.
and then I got raced.
Yeah.
Oh
I'll
That's
get
my
a
God.
divorce. I'll get a divorce if I do that. And I'll have to probably share my entire wealth after that
Yeah.
divorce. For a reason, for
Yeah,
a very
yeah.
weird reason.
Yeah, right.
It's
Okay, so we have a
What's
two-factor
on?
authentication. So SDLC is something they have keep it same. DevSecOps and SAM is very important. DevSecOps is very important. What they
Mhm.
introduced was scaled agile framework, which was not there in the old syllabus.
safe.
Anybody know what that means?
Oh yeah, it's a kind of a
It's
very
alliance.
weird framework. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's actually so the agile is the methodology that we adapt in the system applications. It's a development methodology.
Yeah.
This is actually incorporated in the organizations. So how exactly you want to transform yourself, an organization getting transformed into the agile ways of working, adapting things.
Oh, scaled.
Yeah.
Okay, scaled,
It's-
meaning the ability to scale. Gotcha.
It's something. I mean, I know someone, and there are very few people on this planet who has these certifications, and it's rigorous study, and it's very expensive to someone who knows how to implement SAFE, SAFE, Scaled Agile Framework. Enterprises.
And one important thing is that why they have added in information security syllabus is because if you're taking example of security approach, okay, so when we say in domain 3 keep it simple, economy view and all that. So safe is basically the principle is nowadays used in a system engineering also. So if you take a holistic of security within the system with the help of agile, with the small iterations, you can do that. Security, they need a visibility that is only possible if you can see the module wise things. Then cross domain synchronizations, cross domain department supports. Okay, intrinsic motivation of security. So these are the security practices which we have, which is origin from the scaled agile framework. So that's why I believe this can be the very important topic from domain 8 perspective.
Yeah.
And the rest is basically same here. One thing is basically a tool set was there, and IST was there in the old syllabus. Those who are watching this video, IST is very important for you guys. It's very
This is
important.
completely DevOps.
It's pretty cool. IAST is pretty cool too.
Yeah.
It runs the test while the code is running in production as it's happening.
Yeah.
And rest is basically approx same. So nothing was
What about
just
software composition analysis?
Yeah, it was there in old
SCA.
syllabus. It is there in the old syllabus. Yeah.
Okay.
SCA is still
SCA
there.
is a very important.
Very important topic.
Yeah, and then there would be like it's something which is recently I'll be very honest. So not recently, last year I was working with ISC2 for updating the course content for ISSAP, right? And they introduced a lot of good content in their curriculum, which will be updated shortly, most likely in the month of June or July. They are now talking about the cloud workload security, the workload that runs on the top of containers or anything. And they're talking about shift left approach on DevSecOps, software composition analysis, and many more things, right? So it's important. A lot of things.
Right.
And I'm glad that the IC2 does this 3 years job task analysis, because we don't want to end up reading about Bell-LaPadula throughout our lives, right?
Yeah.
I love that. Yeah, don't say like that. It is one of the best topic I love. I love to teach
No.
security.
Yeah, you like that? You
I
like
love
teaching
that.
that?
I love that.
I
love
get
that.
I get confused that sometimes like the higher level, the lower level, integrity axiom. I'm like, wait, what
There's
am
an
I
easy
talking
way to
about?
remember. There is an easy way to remember. So Bell-LaPadula, they say no read up, no write down, right?
Yeah.
Biba is opposite.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you remember one model, you can automatically remember the second model. So I always give this example, like we have a WhatsApp group. Okay, so we have a friends group and we have a family group. Okay, both basically start with F. So what happened now? You basically have a different kind of a picture in a family group where every day in the morning you're sharing some images of good morning. So people will believe you are the best son on this planet, right? So what happened? You went for the party. So you convince your parent you're going to Goa. Goa is basically like a amazing place, and there you're doing a party and all that. And now what happened? You want to share the images. Okay. So sometimes what happened? You accidentally share the image in the wrong group. So family group is there and friends group is there,
Yeah.
or friends group is there, family group is there. Accidentally you share the data in a lower subject, which is
Yeah.
accessible to everyone. So this is how the information has been disclosed. So that's why we call no write down. Because if you write, if you give the right permission, they might edit, they might process some confidential information in less sensitive area. So that is
Absolutely.
how I basically explain the no read up, no write down, and all that.
Yeah, like
I
when
love
I
that
send
model. Yeah.
pictures, when I send pictures to sometimes family about me, they're like, "Why are your eyes red?" I was like, "Oh, I must have been very tired. I can't explain why."
Even when I discuss about this loose couple architecture and tight couple architecture, I take the example, like, there is a girlfriend and boyfriend. So, boyfriend is giving freedom to girlfriend, talk to anyone, girlfriend giving freedom to boyfriend, give treatment. So that is called as a loose couple architecture, microservice. You can integrate anywhere. But
Nice, bro. I like that.
tight couple architecture basically mean if you're speaking to someone, a girl will slap you, why is speaking to him? If girl speaking, then boy will basically asking why. So this is an integration issue. So you cannot do
I like
integration.
that.
That's
I
called
like
tight
that.
couple
Low
architecture. So
coupling,
that is called
cohesion.
exactly.
Low complete high cohesion.
So this is how you remember
Excellent.
microservice and monolithic architecture.
Excellent. I love that. I love that.
And when it comes to biometric part, I basically take this example, why retina and iris is more accurate, because I never lies. I cannot say knives doesn't lie.
Yeah.
So in our Bollywood movies, we say look into the eyes and say everything. So eyes never lies. So it is always accurate.
I'll
See,
remember that
a
now.
security and relationship guru.
What other
Both.
CISSPs are getting together and explaining it this way, huh? You point me and I won't believe it. I won't believe it.
We have this TCP and UDP, right? The conversation happened between the husband wife is always UDP. It start with no logic and finish with no logic, as a prone to a lot of errors. That's why it's over in 5 minutes. Where the TCP is a conversation between the friends. Hi, hello, how are you? It extends for 30 minutes. Yeah.
I think my wife speaks in TCP, but I reply in UDP. Oh
True.
So
man.
this is how it works.
I was extremely tired before this call, but look at me right now. I'm completely
Yeah, I was nervous. Like last night, I was like, "Oh, we're about to do the CSP exam changes thing." I have prepared zero. I have zero preparation. But you know what? I'm like, I trust my brothers, and we're together. I have a feeling that once we get together, it's going to come together just like it always does. Zero preparation, 100% productivity.
Right.
See, it's all about the
Cool.
karma. It's all about how you give back. So you don't need to be worried about things or whatever,
Yeah,
we
you're
put
right.
we put our heart on the sessions. We are not very professionals. We are not very professionals. We are just to the point. What is required. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So this is the last part, 8.5. I think everything is okay, but new topic was software-defined security.
Yeah,
That
gotta
was
know
there,
that, guys. Gotta know that. And SD-WAN, software-defined security is a must. It was in the old syllabus too. Don't get me wrong, but it's
No,
a heavier emphasis now.
no,
Yeah, it was.
software.
I made a not the syllabus, but in the books it was. It definitely
Yeah,
was in the
okay.
books. I made a video about it back in 2019 or something.
Mm-hmm.
But it's
Yeah.
it's more cloud dependent now.
Yep. Software defined has been there for, like, as I remember, almost 10 years now. It's just been, I
Yeah.
mean, since the time cloud has been there, software defined has been there, an integral part, right? Making an enterprise hardware agnostic. That's how I put it.
Yeah. Perfect. And just so everybody knows, I mean, I know what the definition is, of course, because I'm really smart. But for everybody else who doesn't know, define agnostic one more time. Like, I personally know what it means, but for everybody else, what does it mean?
Something that you like, I mean, the literal meaning is something that you're not very sure about it, right? That's what the literal meaning is. Hardware agnostic in terms of technology is something that you want to make it distant from that. You want to control everything, the software. You don't want to be dependent on the hardware.
Yes, I knew that. I just wanted everybody else to know that who didn't know that. Right.
I don't know that.
Prabh, I didn't know that either. I was like, agnostic. What does that mean? Oh, right.
So
That's
this
it,
is
right?
this is so there is one example we have. What is the difference between event and incident team?
Isn't it a culmination of events create the incident? You need a series of
yes.
events to create the incident, right?
Yeah.
I remember that from CC material that I was creating.
Okay. See, when you go to someone's, when you go to, so suppose you attending Prabh marriage, so you're attending an event. Okay.
When you're
and then when you
attending multiple marriages.
No. When you attending Prabh marriage, when you attending Prashant marriage, it is an event. There you got to know your partner, your family fix your marriage, and that it become an incident.
Yeah. Yes.
I was in a probably assuming he's gonna say, when you attend Prabh Nair's marriage, it's an event. When you attend my marriage multiple times, it's an incident.
And you fail to interpret that, then it become a disaster when you can't control. Oh man.
Gosh.
You guys are the best.
Crazy.
Yeah.
The
This
best.
is how we take CISSP. If someone get to know we teaching like that, they will
be like,
ban us.
You can't copy this. You can't copy this even if you tried. It's nuts.
So I always
Oh,
take this example in copyright. This trademark. What is the name of a phone for which we never back cover and we donate kidney?
Ask that again. What is the name?
What is the name of the smartphone for which we always donate our kidney?
It's an Apple.
Apple. We are paying for the logo. We are paying for the logo, right? So 60% of people take selfie in front of logo. So participants in my batch get offended. Why are you saying like that? So we're paying for the logo, right? That's what happened.
Yeah. We're paying for the blue text message icon.
Yeah.
To make sure we have the blue text message icons. Anybody with the green text message icon, we're like, wow, what a weirdo. Hurry up and get the iPhone. Who has a green text message icon?
Yeah. True. That's one way to look at it. Yep, absolutely.
Right? Like the green text message, like, ew, who's got the green text message icon? You got to be blue.
Anyone iPhone user here? iPhone user?
Yeah, me.
Yeah, me too.
OnePlus.
Oh, Galaxy.
OnePlus.
Nice. I always get the iPhone 2 generations behind. I never get the new one. I always get 2 generations behind, so the new one gets its bugs fixed out before it's all done.
Yeah, me too. So probably, I mean, we have 15, right? Now
I guess 15 is the newest one now.
Yeah,
mine is 13.
Mine is 11.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And sometimes when I hold like an older iPhone, like you can feel the difference. Like, whoa, whose iPhone is this? This is much smaller and feels different.
Right. Cool.
All right, guys. I think we're good. That was good, right? I think we covered a good amount, very casually.
Yep.
And do let us know in the comment box what is the next video you want us to make.
What next?
And to
What
anyone
next? What
listening,
next?
knowing the CISSP new exam changes, it's not going to be the pass or determination of your pass and fail. You got to know everything else that came before that, the baseline, the fundamental. You got to know all that before you even think about knowing these new technologies. Otherwise, you're never going to understand it truly.
I agree.
True.
All right, guys.
All right, perfect.
Okay.
See you all.
Okay, guys.
I'll edit the videos. I'll release them in piecemeal, and we'll take it from there.
Yep.
Yeah.
Done.